I'm going to share some knowledge with you people in this video. If you want to listen, you want to learn, and quit being scammed by auto mechanic services, shops, whatever, even dealerships. Okay, this pertains to the epidemic of the modular Ford V8 engine. Alright, whether it's your 4.6 or your 5.4. I personally have a 4.6 modular V8. It's called the Triton V8 in a Super Crew Cab 02 Ford I've got. Alright, you can listen, you can learn from me, or you can keep being stupid. It's up to the audience or the listener here. It's up to you. I've got a lot of experience. I mean, I owned my first automobile in 1970 when I was age 14. I started out working implements, John Deere tractor, Alice Chalmers, in the county of Eastland, Texas. When I was only 14 years old, same year bought myself a 59 GMC pickup, straight 6'4" on the floor with a 8-foot bed, and that we had two standard size tractors, the Poppin' Johnny 2-cylinder large tractor, and then the 4-cylinder inline Alice Chalmers. I've got experience. I mean, you know, it's nearly the year 2017. You know, I've been working on automotive and mechanical equipment now since I was, well, before I was age 14. So I can save you money if you want to listen. I mean, now when it comes to these modular V8s, you know, they're the engine, they've got the overhead cams, and then the 5.4, it's got the dual overhead cams, you know, per engine head. Some of these blocks are all aluminum. Some of them, the block itself is cast iron, like mine is cast iron. It was made at the Windsor plant. But all of them have the aluminum heads. Okay, the problem people run into, okay, is to where that they go to change the spark plugs, and the spark plugs break off in the cylinder heads. And they have to get these retractor kits and all this, and then these mechanic shops, they want that to happen so they can charge you a lot of money. You know, because they have to retract the, you know, electrodes out of the cylinder block, and half the time you get a part of the porcelain electrode that goes around the electrode on the end of the spark plug in the cylinder, which can gouge your cylinder wall, screw it up for the life of your engine, you know, all over stupidity. Okay, here's what causes this. It was the factory, they did their job fine when they assembled this engine head design. The spark plug companies, they did their job right, with the exception of two things I'll tell you about later. Okay, here's what is wrong. Anti-seize compound that yo-yos at all these shops, they put on the threads and they say put anti-seize compound on it. Okay, here's what's happening, people. When you put this anti-seize on those threads, you screw it into that aluminum engine head. When you put that heat to that, anti-seize then becomes hard as glass, and it becomes the opposite of anti-seize, and it becomes what is a substance that is the equivalent of seize compound. See, the opposite actually occurs. It's not necessary. You shouldn't put any monkey goop on any spark plug thread ever. This is totally wrong. Okay, that is what causes these to break off when people remove them. It's because the last monkey that changed those spark plugs put anti-seize on the threads that became seize substance. and that's why the spark plug broke. Alright, the other problem, okay, here's something I've noticed. The first modular V8 I had was this truck I've got now. I noticed I went to buy spark plugs for it, you know, because I was going over the maintenance, making sure everything was up to par, the sensors, EGR, throttle body, EGR ports, you know, oxygen sensors, heated oxygen sensors, everything. You know, I wanted to go over it with fine tooth comb, cooling system, all of those things. And I decided I need to go ahead and buy some plugs because I don't have any service records with this vehicle. Okay, the first thing I noticed, I go to buy spark plugs for this vehicle. Alright, at a local parts store. Okay, it's a Snatchy brand or whatever, yeah. Okay, what they went to sell me, I didn't buy them because when they brought it to the counter, I looked at it and I noticed the seat was flat. Okay, you've got the threads here, the two electrodes here, and then you got the seat, you know, that goes against the head when you screw it all in. It was flat. And I'm like, that's not right. Because that engine head design, by studying the head itself, you know, a blow-up picture, see, most people never investigate this stuff. I discovered the seat is tapered on the 4.6. So I took one of the plugs out of my Super Cruise. Sure enough, it was tapered. And then I looked down with a flashlight in the hole and I saw how that it's tapered. Okay, those don't take a flat seat. So here's what I did. I went back to the same parts store and I said, give me auto lights for that particular engine. They brought me auto lights. Not only did it have a stronger metal base, but I noticed the seat was tapered as to where the other one was flat. Now if you put a flat seat in a tapered seating on an engine head, what's going to happen? Compression will go through those threads, it will work its way, and then it's going to hit that flat part where that plug is. There's going to be an air gap there. People, you have to get the seats right on these. And that could have a lot to do with some of those unscrewing, and they say there's a myth that says they blow out of the spark plug hole. If that happens, it's because of some idiot that went to install a spark plug in one of these engines, and what they did, they cross-threaded it. They stripped the threads, the aluminum threads in the heads. That is the only way that can happen, unless you just set it in there and turn it 2 or 3 turns, because it's got 11 threads, meaning you're going to have to turn it to the right 11 times for it to suit. So if you do that, and then you just get the spark plug snug, how is it going to unscrew and turn counterclockwise 11 times? It's not going to happen, because first off, okay, the boot for the coil where the boot goes over the top of the spark plug, how's it going to turn in that and then push the coil up, which has a small bolt that is held into the intake manifold? How would that happen? So that is a rumor lie that is created by repair shops to make people believe this nonsense so they can make a lot of money off of people. Okay, here's another, in case some idiot put C's compound, they call it anti-C's, which it becomes C's substance. If they changed those plugs at a previous time and they used this goop. Okay, here's how to ensure your best odds for getting that spark plug out without it breaking on you. Alright, change the plugs one plug at a time. Go through this sequence. You're going to need to start your engine a total of 8 times before you change that last 8th plug. You start out like this. Get the engine at operating temperature of where the thermostat opens. Okay. about 190 degrees. Most people, you know, they're aware. Or if you don't have a temp gauge but you have a temperature light, usually you can tell when the radiator tank on top gets hot, that means the thermostat's open. Okay, you get it to that point of operating temperature. Then shut off the engine and take out the first spark plug. The reason you do this, aluminum expands when it gets hot, which what this means, this is going to be your best chance of getting that spark plug out without it breaking. It will increase the odds in your favor. Then, after you take that first plug out, replace it, put the coil back on it, start the engine, get it back up to operating temperature the way you did before the first plug, and do that for each spark plug. That way, those aluminum engine heads will be at hot operating temperature, which they will be expanded more than if the engine is warm or cold. So it'll increase your chances of that default not happening. Now, when you go to put your new plugs in, don't put anything on those threads, people. Make sure you use the right kind of seat. Make sure. I mean, look down in the hole itself and see if you can see it yourself. Is it a flat seat or a tapered seat? It makes a lot of difference. A lawnmower engine has a flat seat, okay? And a flat seat usually comes with the little metal gasket that you screw onto the threads. You know, it's a little ring, looks like a ring you put on your finger. Okay, a Harley Davidson has a flat seat. Like my 1450 Harley, it has a flat seat. But the Modular V8, or at least this one, tapered seat. And I suspect most all of them are like that. And don't buy cheap spark plugs. You know, I don't mean pay more money based on some sci-fi claim. The metal base, the Autolots I use, the base is black. It's a stronger metal than what Champion spark plug company uses. Theirs will break easier. Autolot is a more durable metal. It's more tempered. So that's your best bet. And Autolot and Motorcraft are hand in hand. You know, although I prefer the Autolot, the seems to be better quality. That's about it. And the other thing is about the rip-off. People shop saying they've got to change all these coils. You got these 8 coils on here. People, you can take one of those coils off, pull the boot off. The spring is there. Just twist it back and forth and pull it off. You look in there, you'll see white or green corrosion. Scrape that off, put the spring back in there, the rubber boot, and you know that usually fixes those. That's all it is. It's corrosion at where the spring is inside the coil. It's easy. Actually, I've got a video on here. If you thumb down my page, it shows me taking a coil apart and illustrating this piece by piece. But anyway, good luck, and you know, maintain your engines, and you know, keep them running good. And you take care of something, it's more likely it'll take care of you if you take care of something. Later.